I'm sure that by now most of you are aware of the case of Daniel Penny, a US Marine, which was in the subway of New York City, where he encountered a homeless person that was threatening the other passengers. And in an attempt to immobilize him and two other passengers, resulted in the homeless person losing their life. So now the Marine is surrendering himself to the authorities, and he is going to face trial. But a couple of days ago, I made a video talking about a bewildering position that Tim Pool held, and that is, he just doesn't care. Whatever happens, happens, because the Marine chose to live in a city. And that was the statement that I found issue with, because it is very shocking. It wasn't just something that Tim Pool said, but many people on the internet were echoing the sentiment, and it shows just how divided America is. If you now have two types of Americans, the Americans that live in the city and the Americans that live outside. Not to mention the idea of choosing to live in the city. I mean, some people simply cannot move for various reasons. Usually the more important one is financial. Now, the reason I'm making this video is because Tim Pool has changed his position, it seems, and he decided to donate 20 grand to Daniel Penny's defense fund. And he says that he previously held what he now views as a defeatist position on the issue. Several people made good arguments to me about fighting the culture war to win and winning the cities. There is a lot more I talk about on YouTube, and if you tune in tonight, you're going to see what that is. I do believe Tim Pool, because if he spent 20 grand, he did put his money where his mouth is, so props to him. It is nice to see that the rhetoric of choosing between, okay, people who live in the city and they deserve everything that happens to them versus people who live outside, this rhetoric isn't being fueled anymore. It's interesting that a lot of people consider this person to be a liberal by stereotyping him due to the fact that he lives in New York City, and I guess like most people in New York City vote blue. But at the same time, this person is also in the military, so by applying stereotypes, you would also think that, okay, well, maybe because he's a Marine, he votes red. But at the end of the day, I genuinely do not understand why this distinction to begin with. In fact, the only conversation that we should be having is what he did. Is it illegal or not? I do not know the law in New York City. For example, if he acted this way in Romania, it would be considered guilty. In Romania, self-defense is only if you apply it to a person that's an imminent threat. So a person just shouting at other people, and even if he is issuing death threats or whatnot, that's not considered a reason to use lethal force. And I do not know the law in New York City, whether or not it's the same. But what I do know is that even if he was a criminal, simply gathering money for someone's defense so that someone can get a lawyer, I don't think that's a problem. I think that in any situation that should be allowed, because even criminals should have lawyers, right? Like that's what separates a democratic civil society to one that's an authoritarian regime. So if a criminal should get 5 years in prison, then a lawyer should make sure that he gets 5 and not 7. Is that something that we disagree? Well, anyway, apparently, the man has managed to get over $2 million so far, and Vice magazine is seething, which begs the question, why hasn't Vice magazine went bankrupt yet? Because I thought they did. But they're considering that he is being treated like Kyle Rittenhouse. Must I remind Vice magazine that Kyle was found innocent? Despite all of the smears and despite the fact that on Facebook, due to Facebook's terms of service, if you defended Kyle, you would have been banned, but if someone were to post an article attacking him, that was allowed. I mean, that is very interesting. And it wasn't just Facebook. It was many other social media platforms. There were people that got banned on Twitch because they said that what Kyle did is self-defense. And as Tim Pool says it, Jussie Smollett, Covington Kids, NASCAR Pull Rope, Hands Up, Don't Shoot, all of them were supported by Vice magazine. Any surprise that it's going out of a business? It's interesting. I mean, literally what they're doing here is clickbait farming. Like, they're writing something that they know it's outrageous. They know people are going to spread it around because they're comparing it with Kyle Rittenhouse, which was found innocent. And they are expecting that people are just going to click on that article and, I don't know, save them from bankruptcy. I guess, how many clicks would you need? That's literally what all Vice is doing. It's dismaying, you know? But still, it is what it is. It is interesting that Tim Pool changed his opinion, and props to him. Very few people change their opinions nowadays. Still, it was an indefensible one. I mean, to suggest that people are guilty for anything that happens because they live in a city. It's ridiculous. Like, not everyone is rich to move out of a city. And secondly, if everyone were to move out from the city, and they would move where Tim Pool lives, then they would bring the city with them. I mean, the city isn't this magical place that has something negative in the earth. Like, it's got these negative energies that are seeping from the earth and it's causing people to behave in a certain way. No, it's usually due to the difficult cost of living, due to various other activities, people being bunched up together. And this is why you have high crime. This is why you have all these other things. In the case of this situation, I do notice that the mainstream media has done its utmost best in order to play the race card. Like, notice how many crimes happen in New York City and none of them are reported, but for some reason this one managed to get all the way into Romania. And what I also noticed that they're doing is, despite the fact that there were 3 people that were restraining the homeless person, the media zoomed in on the face of the Marine, ignoring the fact that there were 2 other people. So what they're doing is, again, like, it's pure clickbait. Like, they are very much aware that they're fanning the racial tension. They are very much aware that this could cause harm in real life by presenting the news in such a manner. But they don't care. In fact, they constantly do it in order to get Vice to write articles that are bizarre like this. And the division isn't just on the left that are upset and angry. As you saw, you know, like when Tim Pool made that statement, there were a lot of other people within his comments that agreed, saying that, yes, if you live in a liberal city and even if you defend yourself according to the law and something bad happens to you, then that's a good thing. And I just disagree. I can't see things this way. And if anyone does think things this way, then hopefully the people in the city don't think the same way about you. What can I say? But anyway, I'm curious to see what Tim Pool's reasons are. I'm curious to see who the smart people that changed his mind happen to be. And I'll see you guys in the comment section. Take care.